Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakascha Sarvesham Gurunartino. So, we are here, Ch.Ch. Saraswat Mat, West London. We have Ananta Govinda Prabhu with us for a special 2-day period, and his lovely devoted wife and children and many other wonderful Vaishnavas. And we had very nice festival period for our Param Gurudev, Om Vishnu Paj, the Bhakti Rakshak, Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And now we are coming to Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have reached chapter 12 of the Adi Leela, the expansions of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Pandits. Advaitan Gringabda. Oh no, sorry, this is a different meter. Advaitang Grabja Bringamstan Sadasara Brito Kilan Hitvasadan Sada Brito Nomi Chaitanya Jivanam. The followers of Sri Advaita Prabhu were of two kinds. Some were real followers and the others were false. Rejecting the false followers, I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaita Acharya's real followers, whose life and soul was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Jaya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Danya. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu, all of them are glorious. Shri Chaitanya Mara Tador, Dvitiya Skanda Rupina, Shri Mara Dvaita Chandrasya, Shaka Rupam Gananuma. I offer my respectful obeisances to the all-glorious Advaita Acharya Prabhu, who forms the second branch of the eternal Chaitanya tree, and to his followers who form his sub-branches. Ikshe Dvitiya Skanda Acharya Gosai, Tarjata Shaka Hoilo, Tarle Kanai. Sri Advaita Prabhu was the second big branch of the tree. There are many sub-branches, but it is impossible to mention them all. Chaitanya Malir Kripa Jole Se Chane, Se Jole Pushta Skanda, Bare Dine Dine. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also the gardener, and as he poured the water of his mercy on the tree, all the branches and sub-branches grew day after day. Se skande jatta prema folupa jilo, se Krishna prem fole jagat bodilo. The fruits of love of Godhead that grew on those branches of the Chaitanya tree were so large that they flooded the entire world with love of Krishna. Se jol skande kore shakate sanchar, fole fule bade shaka hoilo vishtar. As the trunk and branches were watered, the branches and sub-branches spread lavishly, and the tree grew full with fruits and flowers. Patame to ikmata charger gan, pache dui mata hoilo diver karan. At first, all the followers of Advaita Acharya shared a single opinion, but later they followed two different opinions as ordained by Providence. Oh, here's Nanda Sripani Dandavat. Kyoto Acharya Gyai, Kyoto Swatantra, Swamatta Kalpana Kode Daiva Paratantra. Some of the disciples strictly accepted the orders of the Acharya, and others deviated, independently concocting their own opinions under the spell of Daivi Maya. Acharya Mata Jai Se Mata Sar, Taragya Langi Chole Seto Asar. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. Asader name hao nahi prayojan Veda jani bare kori ekatra ganan. There is no need to name those who are useless. I've mentioned them only to distinguish them from the useful devotees. The word here is sar and asar, which I suppose maybe in this context is difficult to translate. But sar means, well, I guess how you would translate it as essential and non-essential, in the sense of able to appreciate the essence, and those who are not able to appreciate the essence. Like another way this is expressed, it is mentioned sometimes that there are two kinds of devotees. The same word, sar. Sar means, as I said, like the essence. Saragrahi means a Vaishnava who accepts the essence from everything. And Bharavahi means a load carrier. And it means, it indicates someone who follows all of the external aspects in a very strict way. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Hari Hari. Someone who follows all the, they're very attached to rules and regulations, all of these things. They very rigidly follow these things, but they don't understand the real purpose of them. So it is like they are carrying a heavy load. So here, Kaviraj Goswami is making this distinction between the followers of Advaita who could understand his real inner desire, his real mood, his real teachings, and those who could not, who appreciated some external thing. And actually this lineage is still continuing today. And as I understand, they don't accept Mahaprabhu. I think Kaviraj Goswami may mention that later, give more detail, but I believe because actually Advaita Charya, he is Vishnu, right? He's Mahavishnu. So you can understand if they want to worship him as supreme. But to do so without appreciating the position of Mahaprabhu, that is not acceptable. Just like in the case of Kaviraj Goswami and his family, they accept Mahaprabhu but not Nityananda. It's an interesting point, because it's not enough to only accept one. When we are approaching the Lord, we are not only approaching him, but we are approaching a whole system. We are approaching, we could say, a family unit. And it's not enough to accept one member of that family unit. You have to accept all of them within their entirety. Otherwise, Kaviraj Goswami mentions, better to be an atheist. It's all or nothing. Because if you are accepting one and rejecting the others, then that individual will not be upset, but all of the others will be. You accept me, but the person who is so dear to me, you don't accept. It is common sense. The person who is most dear to me, you will not accept. The person who is like my own self, the person who's an extension of my own self, you don't accept them. Then what kind of relationship is this going to be? Better we don't know each other at all. Better we didn't meet.
What would they be basing it on? There's probably not an instruction in the scriptures to say, just follow Advaita, so they just be concluding it themselves, because Advaita would be like, well,
Of course. Advaita Charya would not accept them either. Of course not. I don't know all the details, and I'm mostly mentioning this in a general sense, in regards to our own, mentality when we are approaching the Lord and also approaching Guru. We have to appreciate this network, that surrounding, to appreciate and honor that network. But these things we see day by day, this type of mentality coming from ego, coming from ignorance, or a mixture of both usually, and that leads to false conclusions and ultimately offense, aparad. So we have to develop this type of sensitivity to appreciate the nature of all of these relationships surrounding the Lord, surrounding Guru, and to honor all of these things properly. And there's some significant points here. And another point here, this is a famous line Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he quotes in other places, this Acharya Mata Jay Se Mata Sar, that the Swami Maharaj translates this very nicely. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. It's very important. That's what makes everything that we do meaningful. Otherwise, we're just doing karma. Anybody can go and do what we're doing, and on the surface it will look the same. But internally it is a completely different thing, because it is the divine backing of the Vaishnava, of the Guru, their divine will, which makes what we are doing meaningful. To satisfy the heart of a Vaishnava, to satisfy Sri Guru, this is the greatest attainment in life. Danyarashemape jaiche patna sahite paschate patna udaya samskar korite. Paddy is mixed with straw at first, and one must fan it to separate the paddy from the straw. Achutananda Vishakha Acharyanandan Ajanma Sevila Deho Chaitana Charan. Oh, so he's using, this is a very a Bengali analogy. Basically saying you have to separate what's useful from what's not useful. You separate the paddy is rice at a certain stage, and you mix it with straw. Maybe that helps with the husking process or something like that. So then you have to finally separate these two, to what you're going to throw away and what you're going to take. A big branch of Advaita Charya was his son, Achyutananda. From the beginning of his life, he engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Do you remember the pastime with Achyutananda?
Oh, we were reading about it, wasn't it? No, that was something else though.
Maybe someone else, yeah. Did you usted recuerdes Achyutananda, la historia de Achyutananda, la hijo de Advaita Charya? No. I know Saraswati remembers, I won't ask her. What?
He became very upset.
Yes.
But was that with Lomitinanda?
No, with his father.
With his father. Oh, yes.
Because his father said something he considered to be inappropriate. Porque Advaita Charya dijo, la guru de Mahaprabhu es Keshava Bharati. Y Achyutananda dijo, ¿qué es posible? Mahaprabhu tiene una guru. Ella es la guru de todo el mundo. ¿Entiendes? Mi español, ¿entiendes?
Sí, es español muy bien.
So,
Advaita Charya, well, we're going to hear it right now.
how can you say he's got a guru, and he's the guru of everyone?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And he's like 5. Achyutananda tiene como 5 años. Muy chiquita. Sí. Niño. Sí. When Achyutananda heard from his father that Keshava Bharati was the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. Jagadguru te tumi koro aiche upadesh, tomai upadeshe nashta hoilo desh. He told his father, your instruction that Keshava Bharati is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will spoil the entire country. Choda Bhuvaner Guru Chaitanya Gosai, Tar Guru Anye Konshas Chenai. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the spiritual master of the 14 worlds. But you say that someone else is his spiritual master. This is not supported by any revealed scripture. Pancham Varshe Balak Kohe Siddhante Rasar, Shunya Paila Charja Santoshapar. When Advaita Charja heard this statement from his 5-year-old son, Achyutananda, he felt great satisfaction because of his conclusive judgment. So Advaita Charja was not angry that his son chastised him. He was very happy. Krishna Mishra Nama Acharya Tanoi, Chaitanya Gosai Baise Jahar Hridoi. Krishna Mishra was a son of Advaita Acharya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always sat in his heart. So Advaita Acharya had 6 sons, and 3 of them, they were faithful in the proper line. So those and the other 3 went their own way. So Kaviraj Goswami is mentioning these 3, principal 3.
So Achyuta and the other's name?
Achyutananda and then Krishna Mishra. And the next one is Sri Gopal. Sri Gopal Name Acharya Sutta, Tahar Charitra Shuno Atyanta Adbhuta. It says here, so Achyutananda, he remained like a brahmachari his whole life, and then the other 2nd son, Krishna Mishra, had 2 sons, Raghunath and Dol Govinda, and their descendants still live in Shantipur today. There's a whole family tree being described here. I believe Saraswati Thakur, he researched all of this. And I think primarily because, and not that it's so essential to know, but I think, like you'll see in some of the purports, if there's a place mentioned, then there's details like on how you can get there, like it's near this train station. And I believe that's to give some sense of authenticity, like to show people, not necessarily for persons like ourselves, because we're happy to, whatever we're told, we're happy to take. But for some persons, they like to, it gives them more of a sense of authenticity. Oh, this is like a real place, and you can actually find it here. And these are real people. Their descendants are still living today. It makes them feel more like this is something real, So there's a lot of this detail in some places. Sri Gopal was another son of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu. Like some people will make a big fuss about how they found Dwaraka, right, in the sea, and you see everybody is real. It really happened, But the devotees, they don't need that actually, We heard from our Gurudev, we heard from Bhagavatam that Dwarka is real. Like we don't need to have evidence, that this really happened. But for persons of a certain level of faith, it is appreciable. It is encouraging to their faith. We have photographic evidence that this happened. But we don't get too excited about these things. Gurudev told us, Bas. It is faith, it is a matter of faith. Where were we? Sri Gopal was another son of Advaita Acharya. Now just hear about his characteristics, for they are all very wonderful. Gundicha mandire Mahaprabhur samukhe, kirtane nartana kore boro prema sukhe. When Lord Chaitanya personally cleansed the Gundicha Mandir in Jagannath Puri, Gopal danced in front of the Lord with great love and happiness. Nana Bhavodgam Dehe Adbhut Nartan, Dui Gosai Hari Bole Ananditaman. While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and danced, there were various ecstatic symptoms in their bodies, and their minds were very pleased. Nachite nachite gopa hoilo morchita, bumete porilo dehe nahiko samvita. While all of them danced, Gopal, dancing and dancing, fainted and fell to the ground, unconscious. Tukita hoila charja putra kole loya, raka kode nishinge mantra podia. Advaita Acharya Prabhu became very unhappy. Taking his son on his lap, he began to chant the Nishinga mantra for his protection. Nana mantra podena charja nahoy chetan, acharya duke Vaishnav koden krandan. Advaita Acharya chanted various mantras, but Gopal did not come to consciousness. Thus all the Vaishnavas present cried in sorrow at his plight. Tobe Mahaprabhutar hriday hasta dodi, uttaha Gopala koilo bol hari hari. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then put his hand on the chest of Gopal and told him, "My dear Gopal, get up and chant the holy name of the Lord." Utilo Gopal Prabhur sparsha dwani shuni, anandita hoya sobe kore hari dwani. When he heard the sound and felt the touch of the Lord, Gopal immediately got up, and all the Vaishnavas chanted the holy names of the Lord in jubilation. Acharya Aroputra Shri Balaram, Aroputra Swarup Shaka Jagadishanam. The other sons of Advaita Acharya were Shri Balaram, Sarup, and Jagadish. Kamalakanta Vishwasnam Acharya Kinkar, Acharya Vyavahar Sab, Taha Gochar. Advaita Acharya's very confidential servant named Kamalakanta Vishwas knew all the dealings of Advaita Acharya. Nila chole te hoek patrikali kiya, prataparuja pash nilo pataya. When Kamalakanta Vishwas was in Jagannath Puri, he sent a note through someone to Maharaj Prataparudra. Se patrir kata acharya nahi jane, kon pake se patri aila prabhustane. No one knew of that note, but somehow or other it reached the hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Se patrite lekache tolikan, Ishwaratre acharya de koriache stapan. That note established Advaita Acharya as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a letter from Kamalakanta, personal servant of Advaita, to King Prataparudra, but Mahaprabhu, he somehow intercepted it. So the letter stating that Advaita Acharya is an avatar of the Lord. However, it also mentions that Advaita Acharya had recently incurred a debt of about 300 rupees that Kamalakanta Vishwas wanted to liquidate. So Mahaprabhu doesn't like this, because how is it possible that the Supreme Lord owes anything to anyone. This is apasiddhanta. In the same way that Achyutananda didn't like hearing that Mahaprabhu has a guru. So Mahaprabhu doesn't like hearing Advaita has a debt to somebody. Patra podiya prabhur mane hoilo duk, bahire hasiya kichu bole chanjamuk. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became unhappy upon reading the note, although his face still shone as brightly as the moon. Thus smiling, he spoke as follows. Acharjires tapiyache kodiya ishvar, ite dosha nahi acharya daivata ishvar. He has established Advaita Acharya as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing wrong in this, for he is indeed the Lord himself. Ishvare donya kodi kodiyache bika, ataiva danda kodi korai bhushika. But he has made the incarnation of Godhead a poverty-stricken beggar. Therefore I shall punish him in order to correct him. Govindere yagya dilo ihai aji hoite, bolia vishwase eta nadibe asite. The Lord ordered Govinda, from today on, do not allow that Bolia Kamalakanta Vishwas to come here. And Bolia means something like a fool. Something like that. Oh, well here, the word for word, Swami Maharaj is calling it saying it's a Mayavadi. I think it can also mean like a fool. I'm not sure. Anyway, he has, incorrect, conclusion. Danda shuni vishwas hoilo paramadu kita, shuniya prabhu danda charja harshita. When Kamalakanta Vishwas heard about this punishment by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. But when Advaita Prabhu heard about it, he was very pleased. Vishwasere kohe tumi boro bhagyavan, tomare korilo danda Prabhu Bhagavan. Can anyone guess why Advaita Acharya was happy that his servant was banned from Mahaprabhu's company?
It's just a guess, because what Mahaprabhu says goes.
But why would he be joyful? ¿Por qué Advaita Acharya está feliz cuando Mahaprabhu dijo la serviente, you say? El serviente de Advaita no puede ver Mahaprabhu. ¿Por qué Advaita está feliz con eso?
He wasn't an offender, or?
He wasn't an offender. He said something that Mahaprabhu didn't like, but he didn't do anything wrong, actually. Because chastisement is a symptom. La castigar, you say? El castigo es un symptom de... Huh? Yes, amor. See, it shows intimacy, it shows closeness. No. So Advaita thought, oh, my servant is very fortunate because Mahaprabhu is treating him like a close follower, like that. No puede castigar una persona que no tiene conexión. Sí.
Un relacionamiento cercano. Estaba contento porque lo castigó, porque se siente que él está cerca de él.
Entonces, Advaita está muy feliz. Seeing Kamalakanta Vishwas unhappy, Advaita Charja Prabhu told him, "You are greatly fortunate to have been punished by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." Like Saraswati Didi sabe con Gurudev. No, only the close servitors Gurudev is chastising. Otherwise, with outsiders, Gurudev is very respectful. He's not saying anything. But fortunate souls who were serving Gurudev closely, then he would, be more direct. Porve Mahaprabhu more koren saman, tukapai mone ami koilo anuman. Like we always felt like it was a privilege. Like there was that feeling around Gurudev. Like if Gurudev it was like a badge, like if Gurudev would chastise you, then it was like you're part of the club, like he's treating you like you're close, So Advaita Charja is continuing. Formerly, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always respected me as his senior, but I did not like such respect. Therefore, my mind being afflicted by unhappiness, I made a plan. Mukti shashta kori koino vashishta vyakyan, kuda hoya prabhu more koilo akaman. Thus I expounded the Yoga Vashishta, which considers liberation the ultimate goal of life. And this pastime, it's more elaborately described in Chaitanya Bhagavat. In Advaita Charja, he deliberately began preaching this Mayavad so that Mahaprabhu would dispense with his respect and chastise him. He wanted to be chastised by Mahaprabhu. You can tell her in Spanish. For this, the Lord became angry at me and treated me with apparent disrespect. Danda paya hoilamur paramananda, jay danda paila bhagyavan Shri Mukunda. When chastised by Lord Chaitanya, I was very happy to receive a punishment similar to that awarded to Shri Mukunda. So this is another pastime when Mahaprabhu bans, this is famous pastime, when Mahaprabhu bans Mukunda from joining this night kirtan, this exclusive kirtan at Shiva Sangan. And Mahaprabhu said that he could not come for 1,000,000 lifetimes or something like that. And then when Mukunda heard that, he was very happy. But why did he, I'm not sure why he, because he visited some place, he would mix with people who were against Vaishnavism. Yeah, I remember something like that.
Wasn't he singing?
Mukunda is known for his beautiful singing, his sweet singing. Yeah. This is similar to also Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, when the godbrother Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he would visit other places for kirtan, because he loved kirtan so much. And, Krishnadas Babaji, he's a pure Vaishnava, and he's not affected by those places, and he's joining these, like some Sahaja group, but with Paramahamsa mentality. He's just hearing their singing about Krishna. He's not thinking, oh, they're sahajas, he's on some higher platform. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he knew that, but he also felt this is bad representation for our mission. And so therefore he told Krishnadas Babaji, you cannot stay in my mat. And he told him to leave. And he left, and then he came back a few days later. And he told Srila Sridhar, you didn't say that I couldn't come back. So some similar situation with Mukunda, I believe. He also, as you said, he liked kirtan very much. I think it was some context like that. Jaydanda Pailoshi Ch.Ch Bhagyavati Saydanda Prasharanya Lopa Bekoti. A similar punishment was awarded to Mother Ch.Ch Devi. Who could be more fortunate than she to receive such punishment? Because Ch.Ch Devi, she had some resentment against Advaita Acharya because she felt that Advaita was the one who inspired her sons to take sannyas, Because Vishwarup, he refused to give. Because Vishwarup Advaita Acharya used to hold these classes. Advaita was like the leader of all the Vaishnavas, and he'd hold these meetings. And so Vishwarup would join, and then when Mother Ch.Ch wanted Vishwarup to get married, Vishwarup just left home and took sannyas. So she blamed Advaita in her mind, like, oh, because of him, my son left me and took sannyas. This is also described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and there's some meeting with Mahaprabhu and his devotees, and Ch.Ch's there, and he orders Ch.Ch to take the foot dust of Advaita. He chastises her, and he orders her to take the foot dust of Advaita Acharya. It's not public, but it's a gathering of devotees. I think at the home of Srivas Thakur, it's a gathering of devotees. Okay. So it's kind of heavy, that he chastises her like that. Ito koya charja tade koya ashvas anandita hoya ilo Mahaprabhu pash. After pacifying Kamalakanta Vishwas in this way, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu ke kohen tomar nabujiye lila ama hoite prasad patra kodila kamala. Sri Advaita Acharya told Lord Chaitanya, I cannot understand your transcendental pastimes. You have shown more favor to Kamalakanta than you generally show to me. Because Mahaprabhu chastised Advaita, but he banned Kamalakanta. He got a heavier punishment, so he's more fortunate. Amadeha kabuje nahoy prasad tomar charane ami ke koino aparad. The favor you have shown Kamalakanta is so great that even to me you have never shown such favor. What offense have I committed at your lotus feet so as not to be shown such favor? Etta shuni Mahaprabhu hasite lagila bolaya Kamalakante prasanna hoila. Hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed with satisfaction and immediately called Kamalakanta Vishwas. Acharya koi hakke kene dile darashan, jui prakarete kore more vidamban. Advaita Acharya then said to Mahaprabhu, "Why have you called back this man and allowed him to see you? He has cheated me in 2 ways." Shunya Prabhurman prasana hoilo, duharantar kata duhese janilo. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, his mind was satisfied. Only they could understand each other's minds. Prabhu kohe bolia, yeah, that's what I thought. Here it's defining bolia as like a foolish person, someone who doesn't know things properly. Prabhu kohe bolia aiche kahe kar, achar jelaja dharma hani se achar. Mahaprabhu instructed Kamalakanta, "You are a bolia, one who does not know things as they are. Why do you act in this way? Why do you invade the privacy of Advaita Acharya and damage his religious principles?" Referring to the fact that he said that Advaita is in debt. How can he be in debt? Pratigraha kabuna koribe rajadan, vishayer anakaile dushta hoe man. Advaita Acharya, my spiritual master, should never accept charity from rich men or kings, because if a spiritual master accepts money or grains from such materialists, his mind becomes polluted. Mandushta hoile nahe Krishna smaran, Krishna smriti vinu hoy nishfal jivan. When one's mind is polluted, it is very difficult to remember Krishna. And when remembrance of Lord Krishna is hampered, one's life is unproductive. Loklaja hoy dharma kirti hoy hani, aiche karma nakori ho kabui hajani. Thus one becomes unpopular in the eyes of the people in general, for this damages his religiosity and fame. A Vaishnava, especially one who acts as a spiritual master, must not act in such a way. One should always be conscious of this fact. E shiksha sabakare sobe mane koilo, acharya gosai mane ananda pailo. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this instruction to Kamalakanta, all present considered it to be meant for everyone. Thus Advaita Acharya was greatly pleased. Acharya abhipray Prabhu matra bhuje, Prabhu gambhir vakya acharya samuje. Only Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand the intentions of Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Acharya appreciated the grave instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ito prastave ache bahut vichar, granta bahuya boye nadi likibar. In this statement there are many confidential considerations. I do not write of them all, fearing an unnecessary increase in the volume of the book. Okay, I think it's a good place to stop for today. And then we will hear about more branches of the Advaita tree. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki
What was
Jai.
that little, when you read that, when our mind is polluted, then it's more difficult to remember Krishna.
Yes.
And then?
And when we cannot remember Krishna, our life has no meaning.
Dice que cuando nuestra mente está contaminada, es muy difícil recordar a Krishna, entonces, y si no lo recordamos, nuestra vida no tiene propósito.
¿Quieres cantar?
Rangaradha ki Hari Jyoti Jaya 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 Vishakha Jaya Hari Nam